Yeah. 6 or 9.
Hello.
Hello.
Or 12.
Look like you've
Or
got a
12.
freshened rooster.
That should be enough for an
Look at
hour
you,
meeting.
baby.
Some rain doesn't work.
And an E session.
I have the same problem. Use this app here, Pro. So when I go to this,
Yeah.
this is for a mobile.
No, she's on Zoom.
That's why I'm saying this is not.
No, I did all of that and it worked. It was a pain in the butt. Try to hit next and see what
I
it
just,
says. And
No,
it won't let you do this one.
you just have
So
to
when
hit
you go-
record
so
and
this
then
is
it
the
goes
URL.
recording in
Yes.
progress.
Right, right.
This is what the URL says. And it's been doing that the entire time.
On Zoom.
Huh. Huh, no. You may need to get a hold of your.
It's like this exact.
So you
Exactly the
completely
problem
shut it
I had.
down and start all over? Oh, try getting rid
There's
of
an
any
epidemic
cookies or
going
I'm
on.
browsing
actually gonna
history.
go to this
Town hall.
Yeah.
because I
Everybody's
wanna
sick.
go see if I can do it.
You guys let me know when you're ready.
I can't get into my stuff, I'm sorry. I don't like this new Microsoft 365, just saying.
You're not the one that's doing that kind of stuff. Link out.
Is it blinking out again?
Yeah, this one is.
And you're connected to the internet here, right?
Something you have need to have.
Hey, keep your shit over there.
We don't have a.
You're invading my privacy. My space, my bubble.
I don't remember that, but I was sitting here. You did have quite a large space. Lori had a big space. She was sitting there.
Because I know I could enter that code. 'Cause
We're good?
That wouldn't work for me either, scanning that.
I'd like to call this regular meeting for the town of Bayfield to order for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg.
Here.
Trustee Zazzaro. Trustee Hartz.
Here.
Trustee Katsos.
Here.
Trustee Moreland.
Here.
Trustee McLaurin.
Here.
And Mayor Ah.
Here. All rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does the board have any conflicts of interest?
No.
Not at this time.
No.
I'm looking for general public input for anything not on the agenda. Seeing none, I'll move on. Approval of the agenda. Has the board had a chance to look over the agenda? Looking for a motion?
You skipped agenda items, general public input on it, on agenda items.
Huh?
Yeah, because you just said general input, not on.
When
the
we get to
agenda.
the agenda, that's when we go, when we're on the agenda is when we do,
Oh, I was talking about it here, but,
Yeah.
okay, that's all right. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg.
Yes.
Trustee Zazzaro. Yes. Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Katsos.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin.
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yes. First up is the BEEP annexation and initial zoning public hearing. I was informed tonight that the applicant isn't quite ready yet and would like a continuation. Attorney Goldman, do we need to make a motion for that to continue it?
There's no need for a motion, but I suggest that, since the matter has been opened by the mayor, that it be continued pursuant to the applicant's request, both the annexation and initial zoning public hearing, as well as the action item for the next available.
So we're going to reschedule that, or continue that on October 7th. Is that good for staff?
Mr. Mayor, yes, that's the time that they wish to look at, plus it will allow us to
Okay.
adequately notice anything in case cases.
Okay. If anybody's here for that item and you wish to speak to it, I mean, we're going to move it to October 7th, but if you can't make that meeting date, if you can get a hold of Justin, he can take some notes down and read off your concerns or discussion or whatever for that line item. So I'm going to close that, the BEEP annexation off and to move on to the Imagination Library 500 grant, $500 grant request.
Carol, I probably need to leave for this.
Hi.
So I'm making the request for the $500 grant for Imagination Library. So if you haven't heard of it before, it's a program that sends books to kids under 5, free of charge every month, no restrictions as far as income or anything like that. The funds are all raised by the local partner, which is us, me. We work with Friends of the Library, and there are 501c3 nonprofit that has to sponsor it because you have to have a nonprofit. But we are continuing to fundraise. We have over 230 kids signed up right now who get books every single month. And it's a wonderful program. It's very cost efficient, where we pay like $1.20 on average per book to get these books and get them to the kid's house. So I don't want to take a ton of your time, but if you have any questions about the program, I'm happy to answer them. But that is kind of my spiel.
I have one question, if you could answer first. Could you
Yes.
please state your name for the record? It's on for the electronic.
Yes, absolutely. My name is Sarah Mummert.
Thank you.
Yes.
Does the board have any questions?
No, I'm just very familiar with the program, and I think it's an excellent program.
Me too.
Yeah.
I concur.
I have a conflict of interest.
Do you have a conflict?
I'm president of the club.
Well, you should have said that.
I know. Can I just abstain or should I go out?
I don't know. Yes, Goldman.
I am president of the Friends of the Library. I wasn't thinking about it. Do I need to abstain or do I need to go outside for the vote?
Was there a conflict, Friends of the Library, and this is Imagination Library, correct?
Right.
Friends of the
And they would
Library.
like $500 for free
Right.
books to kids. Does that have a conflict with Friends of the Library?
We support them as well.
Super.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for the disclosure.
I just want to make sure.
Any other concerns from the board?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Imagination Library 500 grant request.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro? Trustee Harts?
Yes?
Trustee Katsos?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Happy to do it.
Next up is approval of the minutes and financial action items. Board of Trustees meeting minutes for August 19th, 2025. Has the board had a chance to look over those minutes?
Yes?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Board of Trustees meeting minutes 8/19/25.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro? Trustee Harts?
Yes?
Trustee Katsos?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Abstain. August 2025 expenditures. Has the board looked over the expenditures for August?
Yes.
Yes.
I think you have one question, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I have just a couple of questions for Kathy. Of course. One, I was wondering, with the costs that were involved for data safe services during the July 4th outage, what kind of costs were those? What did that entail?
I was out of town, but I believe that was costs incurred for the power went out and then we had problems with the server, is that correct?
Probably.
Yeah, the server went down, is that right?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what went down, but we lost internet
Yeah.
throughout town. So DataSafe incurred some additional costs, potentially a switch in the server room. I don't know all the specifics, but
Yeah, I don't-
it did take them a substantial amount of time to get the internet back up and running.
Yeah.
The other question I had is, we have all these payouts for IT.
Yep.
Which is $10,000 and $10,048. What all do we get for that?
That's all to DataSafe, and that's part of our monthly contract for their IT services. It's also we integrated to this Microsoft 365, so they did all of that work. It's our email. It's just all of our monthly IT stuff that they take care of.
Just seems like a lot of money for, I don't know all the things that they do for us, but I pay for internet service. and
Yeah.
$50 a month and I get everything I need. So, just curious.
I don't think it's that simple.
And why are there so many separate checks for it?
They're not separate checks, they're separate line items. It's one bill, but it's divided amongst the funds. So like water pays a certain amount, sewer pays a certain amount, streets, and then admin, the police department, Parks and Rec, that's how it gets split out.
And I believe there's also some licensing fees as well
Yeah.
to migrate over to Office 365 from the old Outlook 2016 that we were on previously. So you'll see some of those costs associated with it as well.
Okay. And what is the Janes Corporation of Colorado?
Janes Corporation is the company that did the construction of the shared use path in, over there by Lewisburg, around
Okay.
that area. That was the final, it was like $1,600 or something, and that was the final payment to Janes Construction.
Okay. Those are my only.
Okay?
Well, I have one more.
Okay.
Just, we have, you list payouts for cell phones for individual people.
Yes.
Okay, but then there's a whole section down here with cell phones that's not designated to a certain person.
Okay.
And I wondered what those were, because some of them are pretty substantial.
Which one are you looking at? Is it made payable to,
Page 42,
okay?
Verizon Wireless Services, cell phone. It's near the bottom of page 42.
Okay, so those are cell phones that, like, John carries 2 cell phones. He carries a town phone and his personal phone. So his town phone is included in there, as well as a couple other employees that carry a town phone. For example, Jeremy and I do not. We carry a personal cell phone, so we get a stipend for it. And then that is also the SCADA, the
They're Verizon mobile
Yeah.
internet towers that we use for our SCADA backup.
That's-
And then with all of our distribution and collections SCADA, all of the Redline DA50s also have a cellular modem that's in them.
Yeah.
And so we pay a monthly data charge to Verizon for those. So that gives us automation and some monitoring capabilities for water temperature, pressure, and also our lift stations for pumps levels and things like that.
Kathy, do you think for transparency, maybe on the ones that are a monthly bill, you could put like dash monthly or something?
Sure.
On the description? That way
Yeah.
we can tell in future the difference.
Yeah, of course.
So one thing to keep in mind as well, when we're talking about the internet outage over the 4th of July, we were still able to maintain operations with our cellular internet through the water and the wastewater treatment facilities. So that redundancy really did pay off. Otherwise, we would have been in kind of a pickle, not being able to have that automation for the plants.
And Kathy, to be clear, not on everybody's monthly statement, but the ones that are
Yeah.
specific to what he was describing.
Absolutely.
Yes. Clarify that real quick.
More keystrokes.
We can do it.
Like cut, paste, cut, and paste, cut, paste. No, not what I meant.
Is there any other questions? I'm looking for a motion,
Is it
or, no, an approval?
approval?
Excuse me.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the August 2025 expenditures. That's what I was.
Yeah.
That's the word.
I'll second.
I heard you though.
I stopped myself after I said it, and then I'm like, okay, what's the word? I got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro, Trustee Harts,
Yes.
Trustee Katzos,
Yes.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yes. Next up on the action agenda, discussion and discussion items and department reports. Is it Riddens or Ridens? Riddens? It's Riddens pre-annexation request.
No? Not through the mic.
It's
Yeah.
Ed, okay.
Oh,
Just my
no.
voice doesn't need a microphone.
Yep.
So Nancy, who's doing our contract services, unfortunately had a conflict this evening. She's pulled in two different directions. Cortez has her tonight, so I'll be giving the request. But it's a standard pre-annexation request for Mr. Riddens. You'll notice it's the contract that is common with our pre-annexation agreements. And they're one of several that we've got that are pending. We'll have a couple more here coming up for some additional properties that are located both within the town and outside of the extremities of the town. But we're seeing a lot of that now. There's quite a bit of annexation requests coming in. This is the first step in your ordinance. I think you all have seen some of these before. Any questions that we have to answer?
Just trying to figure out where it's at.
Questions? It's out on the Parkway.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where exactly that address is.
It's almost to where the 160's here.
Yeah,
So
it's out
right
by
over by that
substation for,
substation.
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I thought it was.
Do we have other services that are all out that way? Sounds pretty much, there's a lot out that way.
For Mike again. We do have, this is one of those examples of properties that are enclosed already in the city limits. So yes, we do have services all around that area. And we've got areas that are outside of the city limits that I was informed today. We're actually providing sewer and other things too. So especially along the Parkway, I think there's a number of those properties like that. But yes, it is, that is the case in this area.
And you have no concerns, Jeremy?
No, I don't have any concerns. We're already providing services to them,
Yep.
so.
Yep. Okay.
Figured
Yeah.
providing services and not giving the property taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Does the board have any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Riddens pre-annexation request.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Any public comment? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro, Trustee Harts,
Yes.
Trustee Katzos,
Yes.
Trustee Moreland,
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yes. Town managers report.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, I now have been here for a whole month. I've been drinking from the
survived.
fire hose the entire time, and learning as much as I can, and it's been a great experience. I've met a lot of people in the community, and certainly had an opportunity to talk to all of you, and thank you for your time that you've given me to understand a little bit more about what your feelings are, what your priorities are within the community, and hopefully you understand a little bit more about what I'm looking forward to. And I definitely am excited about it. I've started today discovering where the pots of money are hidden from the federal government in the state of Colorado, and there is money out there, and I'm happy. So I'm already trying to marry some of that in my mind to our intersection project and even some of our smaller projects. I've actually found some pots of money that were not well, they're not well known, and those are the kinds that I like to find, and we might even be able to access some of that money as well for some of the smaller projects that are on some of the lists that either you guys have brought up in the past, or they're on some of the priority lists that we just kind of put a pin in and look for the right funding opportunities. So hopefully as we go forward, you know, some of these will avail themselves of our need, and we'll be able to bring some of that money down here. It's my goal to make as much of the state pay for the improvement of Bayfield as humanly possible. So I've been doing a lot of work on that. On Town Hall, I'm trying to improve communications in Town Hall. I've mentioned that moving folks around and trying to put the administrative functions together in a certain area. So we've got a little bit of movement going on here in Town Hall, and I think that's going to be valuable for not only operations within the city, but I think it's also going to help improve communication with your citizens and Town Hall, which I understand in talking to a lot of citizens, and including some of them at the senior center when I went out there and visited, they would like to make sure that their calls don't get dropped, and that there's somebody following up on things, and that's very important to me. We report to them. You're the extension of our citizens, so hopefully this will improve communication all the way around, and it'll it'll put a little bit of feeling in the citizens that we work for them, and I want them to know that, and if they have problems, I want them to feel comfortable, because this is their town hall, and I want them to feel comfortable to call in and understand somebody is going to take the time to look at what they need. I can't guarantee we're always going to fix it. We had somebody trying to ask us for a certificate of occupancy on county property today, and they were insistent, one of those little holes that we've got in the middle of our town, that we should be able to just give them one. And we had to tell them, well, unfortunately not, but we'd be happy to have you annexed in the city. So we'll see how that goes along. On planning, I've advertised the position. We've received three. All three were qualified applicants. I put them into a rating matrix. I basically assign them all numbers, and then I go through it. I stick them on the rating matrix based upon what the needs are and what their experience, and then the top three, after then the end of this week is when we're going to close it. The top three will be interviewed, and hopefully we will have a planner on board fairly soon. They'll have to give a notice at whatever place they're at now, obviously. And that's something that I would hope they would give somebody a good notice with, because the last one didn't give us that great of a notice, and I feel that's important for anything. If you work at McDonald's or wherever, you need to give folks an adequate time, to leave. So obviously that would be a good interview question that I may be asking this, when can you report? But anyway, on the housing issue, we're working on Cinnamon Heights, and as you're aware through the email that I copied the Board of Trustees on, I'm trying to get the attention of the county. I have yet to get a response back from that, so I'm going to send a formal letter next. It may need to be signed by Mayor. I may need to have your signature on it, but just to kind of follow up and emphasize that, hey, we're all on a team here. This isn't just the crazy person that's running the staff down there at Bayfield, that we all want to know where that funding is. And I also invited all the commissioners to come down and tour the site if they're interested in it, because I think that's important as well. If they've got some stake in this, they need to see that we indeed have been doing things. Now, one of the things that my predecessor may have said is that they claimed that we weren't responding to them, but my investigation, at least with the immediate predecessor, is that yes, we were providing information to the county, and I believe even when my prior manager was here, that there was information going back there as well. So it's not that we were not responsive. Maybe it wasn't connecting with the right person there. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm going to make an extra effort to get their attention, and hopefully, I think one of the things that I've heard from almost every board member is that we need to get that joint meeting back together again. So that's something that when they get their new manager on board, I've read back through some of your minutes, those appear to be productive meetings. We'll see if we can get them to reschedule that down here, because it has been some time since you've had that meeting, and others have had twice the frequency that you've had, and you are the second largest municipality in the county, so we deserve our love too, and hopefully we'll get that, but I will request that as well from the new manager. You can read through this if you have any questions. You know, I'm doing a lot of work on the budget right now. I know I've received requests to get started on the budget, and I do have the departmental requests coming in. They're all working on finalizing what they're requesting. In my practice, I don't like to take a cake out of the oven until I know it's ready, and I certainly like to make sure that all the ingredients are put in the thing before I put it in the oven. So give me a little bit of, be patient just a little bit, because I will get that to you here. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks is what I'm aiming for, and then we can start having our workshops at that point. I've mentioned I know I mentioned to the mayor today, I like to start out with revenues because I want you to know what I anticipate you're going to have. I'm not going to be speculative on my assessment of what's going to be available the next year. I think speculative budgeting is kind of dishonest. Some managers do it, they get lucky, they're good at that. I'm not that type of manager. I'm a realist. If we get a grant during the year, I'm going to come back to you with great news, and we're going to go for a quarterly budget adjustment. It'll be a happy time at that point, but I don't like to count my chickens before they hatch. So I may seem like a Debbie Downer when I come up and present the budget to you, but I'm just trying to be realistic about what the revenues are looking like. And there are some revenues that are not looking great right now. We're working with the state to make sure that they correctly assessed it, but you have a few of those revenues that I discovered today. Our finance director got an email from the state, and at least one of those revenues that was budgeted up fairly high into 5 figures came back far below that. So don't really understand that, because the industry seems to be doing really well, but maybe there's something at play that I'm not aware of, but I'm not going to budget that same amount this next year. And so you're going to see some of those things that last year they were budgeted a lot higher. If we didn't make that level or didn't even come close to that level, you can figure I'm probably going to lowball it, because I don't want us to depend on something that is pure speculation.
Yeah.
I'm very positive about getting grants, and I'll tell you that I'm going to go and get them, but I'm not going to put them in there until I actually get that grant agreement
Maybe
signed.
have like a little addendum that says what you think you wanna go after, not necessarily dollar amount or anything like that, but like, I'm gonna look for, some grants in streets, or sidewalks, like you told me earlier, you're looking for one on a sidewalk. You don't have to say a dollar amount or nothing that's like concrete or anything like that, or specific, and not part of the budget, just so that we're aware of what you're hoping to look for. Does that make sense?
Mr. Mayor, Trustee Moreland, yes. I can give you just a brief outlook on what I've looked at right now, but I prefer, as I'm reviewing them, maybe to bring them up during the year. Hey, I've discovered this grant. So the Main Street monies, or what you're referring to,
right,
for Mill Street, I know that's an area that both the citizens and several of the trustees have expressed an interest in trying to, I believe half of the street was done. The other half, you still have some sidewalk issues. There were also some, I guess, earlier plans about sprucing it up and maybe banners and things of that nature. There are some monies out there that seem to be available for that, and there's no reason why the towns like Steamboat and Steamboat Springs and these other towns that are that are flush with funding can get those, and we can't. I believe we can, and I think that's something that there's a minimal match with something like that. And I like to match monies with other monies that neither of which are ours. So I'm trying to make sure that puzzle fits together as much as possible.
I think more what I'm referring to is normally we have like a goal, or we have a list of like what our top priorities are, and then our town manager will typically try to put some attention towards finding grants or trying to make those kind of projects happen. And I feel like we're missing that whole piece of this in what you're saying you're gonna present us with the budget. And I don't wanna miss out on that, because there's some clear things I think this board really wants to happen. I know the east intersection is one of them. Finishing some of the projects that we have, Cinnamon Heights, those are another. Stormwater, that's another. And so for me, I really wanna be able to see something, usually in the budget, you can see some of those things at play, and it sounds like maybe that's not, maybe not the case
Yeah,
this time.
in the
You
past,
know what I
we've
mean?
set our priorities
Yeah,
and then the budget
exactly.
to the priorities, yeah.
Yes, and it doesn't mean like, I get what you're saying, that you don't wanna put it in the budget if it's not there, but I still want some sort of, this is the priority and this is what this board wants to have and see happen, in the next year. Does that make sense?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Trustee Moreland, I totally understand what you're talking about. When I present each of the projects, the budgets for each of the projects, I will go over the areas that I'm looking at. A lot of them are projects of opportunity. You know, the monies that are out there, I'll just come across for the smaller projects as I'm digging through for the big ones. But right now, my two big projects, number one is the intersection, is making that shortfall that we see right now. In fact, not only is that the priority, but getting it started is. So next council meeting, I'm going to be bringing before you the addendum that we've been waiting for forever from the engineering firm to get their stuff out of the way so we can get this project bid and get it going. That'll be coming before you in 2 weeks. Had I received it a day earlier, when you know, or a couple days earlier, you guys would have had it today. But I have to, you know, I want to bring that before you. It's the total amount that we're looking at with that project, given the amount of the cost for the project, is well within what I believe it should be for design, environmental, surveying. You know, that there's work with the irrigation district or with irrigation companies. There's a lot of that factored in. I made them spell it out in there. So that'll be presented to you in 2 weeks. Right now, what I've reviewed and what I see is out there, you know, I'm probably going to be recommending that to you. I'm making sure that we won't have to go back again, because I hate amendments. Unless there is something dire that discovered an ancient Native American burial ground under where we're digging, I don't want to see another amendment from that. I want to get the project started. I want to get a great groundbreaking ceremony happening in 26. The state doesn't believe we can do that. I'm going to prove them wrong. And God willing, if we do get it in the summer, we're going to try to get it done, you know, within the majority of 26. We may end up paying the following year, but my goal is to push this thing through above and beyond what the state believes they
I
can
think,
do.
John, excuse me for interrupting, but I think what Brenna's getting at and what I've been getting at in asking for workshops about our budget, and it may just be an approach and a process that's different, but I've only had one budget experience with this town, and it was driven by the last town manager that was not our interim, that we would sit down as a board with the town manager. We would discuss what we individually saw as a priority, and then we would rate those priorities, and then that's what we would shoot for. But it sounds like your process is different, that you're saying, I'm going to put a budget together based on funding and income and revenue and that sort of thing, and then I'm going to bring that to you, and then we're going to talk about how the budget's laid out. So am I misreading what I'm hearing, or is your process different than that?
Mr. Mayor, Trustee Katsas, it's a little different in that your priorities that you've already presented me with are what I'm using to base our projects on to start. I go after projects two ways. Number one, you have a priority list. You have the intersection is overwhelmingly the priority that I'm hearing from the entire Board of Trustees, that is something that's driving a lot of things in the community, and it's stopping a lot of things from happening in the community. So that is the top priority that I'm looking at for funding. So when I search for grant funds that are out there, that's what I look for. And so that's me searching for the revenues to fill the shortfalls. But I need to give you the situation before we start talking about what we spend our money on. We need to know what money we have. And so I'm going to give you an assessment recommendation of what I believe the revenues are. Now, if you have a different viewpoint on that, and you think that there's some additional monies out there that I'm not looking at, I expect you to bring that to me in the workshop and say, hey, I don't think you've given enough emphasis on this, or there's some additional monies out here that we need to look for. But I think we always need to start this with a situation that, what do we have? And we base that on what have we had in the past, what are we gonna end the budget with? Because there are some line items, and you see them in there, that are not revenues, that are not anywhere close to where we should be this time of the year. And some of which you get paid in one fell swoop, so your severance tax monies, for example, you get paid those in one fell swoop that comes in August, I believe, correct?
Yes.
So it's August, and that's money that's based upon revenues that are collected by the state from oil and gas and some mining revenues on state lands and state leases. Everybody sees around us that the oil field is doing really, really well, and so we'd anticipate that that revenue check is going to be at what it was last year, or at least tracking along what your last 2 or 3 years were. It's not. It's way below that. And so that's something that if we just looked at that and made our wish list based upon what we got last year, that we would be in trouble down the line. I want to make sure that you guys have an honest assessment from me as far as what we have, and then we can move forward from there. That doesn't mean we're not going to get additional monies, but the priorities all come from you as a board of trustees.
So if I could just interrupt you real quick on that. So we haven't reset priorities in over a year. We usually do it at budget time, and that's what I think my whole thing is.
Okay.
I'm okay with the way you're going about it. I have no problem with budgeting based off of what your revenues come in at and not your hopes and dreams. Because I think sometimes when you are hoping for extra monies and you put it in your budget, it's really hard for people to understand that that's a hope and dream. You don't have those exacts yet. And so I totally get that, and I'm really okay with that. But my point was, is we haven't revisited the actual priorities in
Gotcha.
the year. And I would like us to revisit that piece.
Noted. And I certainly can make sure that we put a dedicate workshop time to nothing but priorities. I think if that's the feeling of the Board of Trustees, that's certainly something I feel is important for you to reemphasize what your priorities are. And that helps me as well move forward. But I hear you. That's something that I think is important. Certainly I took priorities based upon your communications with me starting from the first day you met me. And so I've kept a pretty good notebook of what I feel like are very important issues. I've asked you all since that time, you have other priorities as well. And again, I appreciate the time you've spent with me and the information you've submitted on the priorities that are out there. And I've kept all of those because even though it may not be the top priority on the list, I've got a pin put in it, and you never know when I found a little pot of money over here that would just fit it. And
Right.
so I go back to that skate park that I built. If you've got those projects and they're just sitting out there and you put a pin in them and keep them in your mind, even though they may not be the top priority, there may be a little pot of money out there that we may be able to just take care of that as we move along. I don't like to forget the low priorities because some of those are quality of life things and they're important to people. And so I always try to keep those in my mind. But your top priorities, yes, definitely, I think you need to reaffirm what your top priorities are and make sure that I understand clearly what you want me to go after, and we will.
And the conversation may have been had individually with you, but maybe we haven't had those conversations with
With
each
all of
other,
us, right,
And your
yes.
priorities over time can change.
Yes.
And, depending on what's going on and what we want to get done and that sort of thing, so.
But I think what he said, the overwhelming majority of the board was in the east intersection, so we're all at least on the board.
Oh, I think we're gonna be way on the same page on most of our priorities, and in fact, we've always been that way. I mean, I haven't seen us when we did the goals on the board the last time, we were all pretty much in the same priorities.
Well, and I
So-
think moving forward, if we're saying priorities, when we give him our priorities, then he can look at those certain grants in those priority regions.
Exactly.
Right.
And then we can, the budget's gonna be, I'm just gonna say, it's gonna be hell this year.
Oh, I
Right.
And,
Yep.
if we can give him better priorities on what we're all looking at, and he can look for grant money that way and say, like he said, he doesn't want to underlook any low project.
Right.
But if he knows to look for that money, then he can look for it.
Right.
So, because, again, the budget's going to be rough.
I
So-
agree, 100%. And grants are rough this year,
Yeah, so I think we need to make our priorities so that then he can move forward.
I agree, 100%. Sooner the better for him.
I do have one question. In your shuffle of the town hall, I think it all sounds great, but I'm wondering, you specifically call out an office manager position. Is that a position that's going to be a new position?
That position is taking, we had an existing position that before I got here is gone. That position has been moved. And when I got here, and I don't know any of the particulars of what that position was, who it was, I wanted to know how are the operations now, what's critically necessary. So I watched the front desk. I did recognize, I know we had another employee that resigned and moved on that was one of the utility clerk positions. That is a very busy area of City Hall, and I want to make sure that that's covered. So that one, that position itself was basically reaffirmed. The position that we needed, though, we've got a lot of correspondence that's being dropped. Both people coming in and leaving messages, and people that are calling, messages not being, if somebody's in a meeting, they forgot to, there's just a big disconnect with communication. We need a nexus in between management, between the staff, between the city itself, and this position I see as a nexus that's going to allow for communication not to be dropped. I've already had several of those things happen where I've been in a meeting over here, and I know somebody was trying to get in the door, or there's been a phone call, and that goes straight to voicemail, and our voicemail system's not the greatest. And you know, I think it's just a personal touch of having somebody that can go down to the bottom instead of having our utility clerk leave the window, leave maybe a line of 4 or 5 people that probably only have a limited time in their lunch to go pay their bill, and then go up and you know, talk to me or talk to the planner and say, hey, I've got somebody here. If we've got an office manager, secretary position that can come down and get somebody from the front office and bring them up without abandoning that critical area of our operation, that's going to help out a lot. I've noticed probably 3 times a day that is kind of necessary, and you know, there are meetings that go on. Sometimes we have big meetings where several developers are coming up, or our attorneys, or folks like that. So we need somebody to be able to bring them up. And the day that we had, I think we had a fairly large meeting up there with about 20 people. We had a couple of attorneys and folks over one of the projects we were working on. I don't know how many times poor Renee came up and got us and came back down, and finally I just walked down out and you know, grabbed the people and brought them up, and I could see that it was a very busy day. A lot of people were trying to, I think it was the day before shut off or something like that. And I just think that works so much better. I've been the beneficiary of having a person like that. It's an important nexus that keeps people from running into walls and your messages from disappearing, and it just makes the operation so much better, especially when the people appreciate that personal touch of somebody saying, no, I will make sure he gets this. I will make sure, you know, I will make sure this gets done. Because the phone messages, they're great. I know automation is great. We lose a lot. And we're a small community, and I think folks kind of expect that personal touch.
Yeah.
So I totally understand the whole town manager, or not town manager, but the office manager position in here. But my question, and I think that goes with what Trustee Katzos was saying, is that, are you taking the billing clerk position and now making some combined, or is this from the other one that was vacated and removed with the interim town manager, and taking that position and making it into office manager?
Yes, it's
Okay.
that position, and we get a savings out of that position as well, because you know, we get a little bit of a monetary savings, which I'm looking for right now. I can't tell you, I'm not going to lie to you, tell you I don't have that in the back of my mind. I'm trying to find cost savings wherever I can. And that was a way that I could maximize a single person to come up and maximize our operation, at the same time save a little bit of money and not damage the critical front operations that we have down there. Because that to me is, again, if somebody's sitting there, and I know personally I've been there, trying to pay the bill, I've only got a few minutes to come in here and do that. Sometimes they're coming all the way in from Durango to pay it. You know, I think that's important that they don't get put on hold there while somebody runs
Right.
somebody up to
Yeah.
talk to me or whoever.
That's fine. I just needed clarification what that role was. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And by the way, I am noticing your operation process, and I do appreciate it. Like, I like the agenda briefing memorandums. I really appreciated your very thorough email regarding Cinnamon Heights. So I'm noticing, and I just want to let you know, and I think you're on the right track.
Any other comments for John?
Thrilled to hear how you're handling the budget.
I agree.
It's going to be a difficult year this year coming up.
Yes, and I'm glad that the revenues are going to be realistic and you're starting there. Thank you.
Parks and Trails Director Report. Is somebody stepping in for Mark, or?
Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, Mark unfortunately caught the crud that everybody seems to have caught. We actually had like 4 people out of City Hall this week.
Oh, no.
You'll notice Marie's not here as well. and
Yep.
Josh was out of commission today, so it's been, I guess it's going around. I'll probably end up with it since my son's in the school system, so. But you can read that what his report that's there is pretty standard stuff for the month of August. I did have a chance to talk to him today. He sounded terrible. He wanted to get online with his laptop, and I said, absolutely not. So, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. He is moving forward on the projects that he reported over the last couple of weeks, and things are going, he's run into no problems on that, so everything seems to be going great with what he's got.
I didn't have any questions or concerns about his report.
Water restrictions update?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So, the last meeting on the 19th, we came in and we were talking about potential water restrictions. Since then, we've received quite a bit of rain up high. So we've been bouncing anywhere up from P24 to P12. I think we were at P3 for a day, and then we went back up to P20. So I just wanted to bring this back to you guys. We haven't officially put a declaration of additional water restrictions. We haven't fallen out of priority. So with the rain that we've been getting in the afternoons, I just want to kind of get the board's opinion. If we don't have to enact rate increases and the additional workload for staff with staying in priority for water, we have, 28 days left. We'd kind of like to ride this out. If we keep getting rain up high, which we're supposed to get some more next week, we should be in good shape. So it's kind of rolling the dice, and we just wanted to get your opinion on that as well.
I'm personally okay with allowing you to make that decision. I mean, you're the one that would report to us that we needed to do it right now anyways. And, you know, to me, you know when that's gonna be. And I think you're okay to handle the process to get the word out to everybody. So, I mean, I personally have no problem with that.
Actually, I'm quite disappointed because we gave the directive to declare a drought. We gave that directive, and it didn't get done. So I'm personally not happy about that. If you go back and look at the minutes, it clearly states that we gave the directive. We voted for it. So from that point of view, I'm not pleased, personally. The other thing, too, is that I'm not a person that bets on the come. If I, were to suddenly get a bonus, I would say to myself, you know what, this is good money for a rainy day. I'm not going to go out and buy myself a new what's-it. So I feel like we got a bonus by getting some rain, but we were pretty doggone close to being in trouble. And especially when I believe you said we would have 12 days before we ran through our money or our backup water source. So for me, betting on the come doesn't work for me. Working with actuals and information does. How do you get alerted where our P rating is?
I sent that link out on Monday when we sent the memo in regards to the drought to the entire board.
I did
So-
not get that link.
Yeah, you can log into Division 7 Water Resources, go to Vallecito Lake, and look at operations in the Pine River, and it gives you an update of your priority status every day. It's updated at 9 o'clock every
Okay.
morning. So that's what we monitor to know what the priority of the river is. That's updated by the Water Commissioner. And at the time that I sent the memo out on Monday when we were putting the drought declaration out, that
I
memo
never
went
got
out.
it.
Yeah, that memo went out when we were still at P20 and then up at the P12 level. So that's why the memo got sent out in regards to the drought declaration, because I was actually preparing it that Monday to enact. I don't know where the disconnect was on that, but
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
also
I
get
did
the other
not.
email that you mentioned you sent out about Cinnamon Heights. Not liking Microsoft 365 is all I have to say.
so that,
The Cinnamon Heights email, I don't have one from Jeremy, but irregardless, I just wanted to share that I still think we should educate public. I don't think we need to raise rates, but I think that people are gonna look back on this year, and if next year is bad, they might compare, why are my rates going up this year when they didn't last year? So I think the public should know that this was considered. I mean, I'm grateful for rain, however, I still think I would like to see a public education component. I thought we talked about maybe putting that in some sort of billing statement, although I don't get billing statements, so I don't know how that happens, because mine just pays automatically, or if we go back to doing newsletter. But I would definitely like people to know that that's how close we were, and that they need to be mindful with how they use their water. I mean, again, I'm really happy that we don't have to enact anything, but I do feel like we talked about, we were gonna say if we were in, I think it was severe drought. I know it wasn't the most extreme one, but we did talk about that at the last meeting, so I feel like, yeah, we got lucky with the rain, but we had agreed on doing something of that nature. So if we don't go, since that hasn't happened yet, and Jeremy, I'm really sorry, I don't have the memo for Monday, and I agree with Brenna, I think that Microsoft has been a little wonky for all of us. But if there's any way we can just make sure the public is aware that these are the actions that we are discussing and could be taking, because I'm not sure that they're all listening to the video after the fact, and I can't see how many people are in the room because I'm not there, but that's just my thought process on this drought thing. But again, I'm in agreement, I'm happy that we're in a good place, but I still want the public to have some education.
I would agree with that.
Well, and I think moving forward, this is a lesson for us learn. Next year, if we're in the same situation, maybe we're a little bit harder on the fines. You know, maybe, because I know that there wasn't very many fines or contacts this year, which we don't typically want to do, but if we're in a dire situation, which I was up at the lake the other day, and it is
It
looking
is
pretty
bad.
sad.
Yes.
You know, I think that we might have to hold the people a little bit more accountable.
I agree.
I think that, like what Trustee Cesaro said is super important, to have that communication now, that we were almost there. We were almost going to do this, we got some rain and we don't have to right now. However, if we have another poor winter, it's gonna exasperate when we come spring. It's gonna be even worse next year, and it'll start earlier.
It's almost like that doomsday clock.
Right.
Look at it that way, because,
Exactly.
you know, moving forward, if we don't have a good snow year, next year could be, you know, we could be taking different,
It'd be showering once a week and be stinky people.
right, you know, water restrictions could be totally different. So, you know, I like educating people, because I saw like people running their water today at like noon, and I'm like,
What are you
I shake
doing?
my head. But, you know, again, I think educate and then maybe enforce the fines however we can. I don't know how you can do that besides leaving them door knockers and saying, guess what? $50 fine, $100 fine.
well, that's currently how we do that. The odd even watering's in effect all the time. And so that's an enforcement tactic, and the town does a really good job with odd even watering. We end up handing out some warnings during the beginning of the year, but like they're not blatantly violating any of the restrictions that are in place right now. So we go into water restrictions May 1st when we go on an accounting for the river. So as it comes up to October 30th, we go back on Free River. So it's not accounted for anymore. It's only during the irrigation season. So what I'm hearing is you'd like to see something posted as far as for an educational awareness. We can do that digitally, the library, somewhere in that action. And then Trustee Katzos mentioned that she would like to have the restrictions imposed for the rest of September. So that's your decision to make. On the memo that John had me put together, there are those two scenarios. So that's why we're bringing it back to you right now, just so you're aware that we're not out of priority yet. We're getting close to the end of the accounting year for water, and so we wanted to see what the town board, and I apologize that the memo that was sent out on Monday when the drought declaration went out, that was one of the things that, Manager Waters instructed me to do, didn't reach the board. It also did have that link for Division of Water Resources 7 for the Pine River operation value on there, and that was one of the things that we did want to include, so you would be able to look at that and monitor it yourself. It's a nice resource Division of Water Resources puts up that allows us to monitor some of that stuff. So,
And Jeremy by no means was like being critical of, just thinking moving forward. I think you do a great job on how you regulate the water and everything, so I don't want that to be misconstrued in any way.
Can you better describe what the free water means to me? I'm not super clear about that.
so when irrigation comes on, we are running a priority system, if you guys are familiar with that, from priority 1 to, I don't know if it goes up to like 30 or 40. So that accounting system is only for irrigators. So that starts in May, and they start counting the water for the allocations all the way through the end of September. So October 1st, there's no more water accounting on the river. We're allowed to pump and treat water without necessarily having to quantify it per our priority to the state. So that runs from October to the following May. May 1st, the accounting goes back on, and then we have to run and report the meters, and then, of course, the CFS we take out of the ditch per our priority. So that's what I mean by when they say free river, which if you do log on Division of Water Resources, it said free river a few times, and you have to refresh the page because we know that's not the case. But that's when we'll go back to. And so then our water accounting basically stops until next year in 2026 in May, it'll start again. And then that's when we enact our annual, odd even watering restrictions and those types of things. No watering between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. And those are just annual restrictions that we do.
And billing-wise, I can speak to the billing cycle a little bit. It wouldn't have been time to raise rates during that billing cycle anyway, because we bill in the arrears. So the bill that I just did goes from May 20th, or sorry, not May, July into August 20th. So we're always a month behind on that. So that wouldn't have been the cycle to up the rates as well. So just a little billing tidbit.
Well, I do feel like between the last meeting and this meeting, there really wasn't enough time to get the word out into the billing cycle. So I personally didn't expect it until the next one anyway. So I know you feel like they didn't do what was said, but I didn't expect it to happen that fast personally.
Oh, I did.
So to me, it's right on par to talk about it again this time. And I don't feel like you didn't do what was needed, especially knowing we didn't get the memo on Monday that was sent out.
Well, if you read the minutes, it clearly states that
I'm
we
not saying
directed
that it
them to
didn't,
that, right?
But I'm also of the mind of things can change and they can change quickly, and sometimes you have to roll with the punches. And so I get that we are the deciding factor up here and that we should, that he should follow what's said, which he was doing. But like, I think it's the right thing to revisit if circumstances change somewhat. I don't have such a problem with that personally.
So if
That's
I-
my personal
right.
opinion. I'm not saying you don't agree with it.
Yeah, no,
You obviously don't.
well, the other thing too is why did we wait until the 11th hour? I mean, if we already knew that we were heading that way, and then now knowing about the utility billing on top of that, it should have been called in July.
So I don't
Right?
think it was the 11th hour because we hadn't gone out of the priority. So we were still within the realm of what we normally function off of. he was preempting it based on the weather, and he was ahead of the ball game by coming at us when he did. I think he
Agreed.
had it backwards,
Yes.
because I think he was very much ahead of the game.
Yes.
Yes.
Members of the Board of Trustees, you'll remember that you've got a drought plan that you approved with certain trigger points in it. Actually, the way that's written, it's, those trigger points are hit, and you gave your manager the authority to raise the rates. It didn't have anything to do with the council passing, not that you don't have the authority to preempt that, because you do.
Which is what
But-
we were doing.
Which is what you were doing. But one of the things that I think is really important, and several of you have mentioned this, is we need to keep this in the top of people's, keep it, when they're using their water, that it's something that's a valuable resource, regardless of what stage we're at. Water waste is happening every day. I see it as well. I see water running down the streets, and, I'm real attuned to that, because I ran a water department, and I certainly understand the, sometimes people, well, I'll fix that sprinkler when I get to it, but, that sprinkler in the meantime, wasting a bunch of water running down the road, and that's water that very folks have to treat. So I think having a water wise program, in addition to your drought plan, also needs to be looked at and talked about some things that have changed. I think there's some ways we can tighten up your drought plan, but also having a water wise program that people can see. And so having something that is a flyer that's maybe at the senior center and then over at the library and at town hall here, that just reminds people about use your water wisely, don't waste your water. Here are the watering times, don't do it in the middle of the day, because even on days like today when it's 85, you waste a lot of water up in the sky when you're watering. I think if we have a continual program like that people are always thinking about it, I think when the triggers do start hitting, and maybe there's a way that we can, put online, maybe you've seen the Forest Service has their fire danger sign, the little moderate.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, we can have something like that that we come up with that's based on a priority base, so they know where we are. And if they're looking on there and it's getting closer and closer to that red side of the dial, they know things are gonna happen. And, you can put that online, people can read what that means when you get to the red. We can put those things on there so people at least can understand as they get closer and closer to it. In some places where it's really, really bad with water, it's just like fire around here. You actually see signs outside that the staff goes and they change it based upon what the aquifer levels are and what the usage levels are. So, that's another option somewhere down the road if it gets really bad. But as I understand it, we toward this time of the end of the year, frequently lately, it's been happening that we get close to that. And so maybe it's good to remind people throughout the year that when we start getting to the end of summer, things may happen that we may have to cut back on our usage, and we may be knocking on your door and telling you, hey, don't do this again, or we're gonna have to issue a fine, and you're gonna have to go see, I don't know if they see the municipal court or how they do that, but
It's assessed to their water bill.
that's even better. It's on there and they have to ask why they got that, so.
I wonder if there's a way to incentivize some of the newer builds, the developments that are happening in Bayfield, to incentivize them to do more hardscape.
Most of them let the
drought.
property owner or buyer landscape their own yards.
Well, I understand that, but maybe we can incentivize the homeowners then, that, if they do something like that, there's a little 10% off for 6 months or something that incentivizes somebody to do a more drought-resistant type of yard.
I was thinking, I'm sorry, I can't tell when people are about to talk or not, so I'm just gonna start talking.
You're good.
I like the idea of that office manager position that we were talking about earlier, and I'm wondering if the newsletter could go back through that position, and then maybe one of the months you have in there, here's some zero-scaping ideas, or some water-wise ideas for your yard. Because I know in my neighborhood, people have already asked about, we don't have to have grass in our front yard anymore, so what are some ideas of what we can do? And, who can do these things? So I think there's ways around this. I don't think we're gonna solve it tonight, but I feel like there are some really great, things that maybe when we're looking at the priorities for John and the team, we can maybe somehow fit this in there. Because I think there's a lot of concerns with homeowners right now who don't want to water their grass, or through this HOA, they're like, your front yard looks awful. And so you need to do something about it. If you're not going to water your grass, put something else there. So I think there's a lot of opportunity coming up.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, I think that there are quite a few options out there that we can consider. You know, some of which you don't have to not have grass or plants to be water wise. There are ways that you can do that. Gray water systems when they build, I mean, they pioneered them up here in Colorado, and there are a lot of places that are real pretty places where they actually do one of the grass and one of the plants. And there are a lot of different opportunities. We can just sometimes make that information available to them. And as far as the newsletter, Trustee Cesaro, I have 2 copies of that sitting on the top of my desk right now, and I'm looking at a way that we can maybe modernize it a little bit, but I'm also trying to find the program that was developed on, because it looks like there's a QR code on there that I need to find out where that goes to, and maybe we can put it online and maybe put out a few copies of it in different places. I'm not sure if
Isn't that good
mailing it
with
out is the best
Facebook?
way,
I think
but
that goes to
certainly
Facebook.
putting it out, at least online, seems to be prudent. So,
I think that code goes to the Facebook page link.
just go to Facebook.
I believe so.
Okay. I will have to check into that. I noticed that today.
Is there any further discussion on the water?
Do you have what we need, to, because we do have a directive from the board to do something, do we need to rescind that, do we re-vote on it? Trustee Goodwin, Attorney Golden? I don't know, I can't do names today, I don't know.
It says take no action, and that would maintain the current odd and even water restrictions, or proceed with the serious drought declaration. So there's one of the 2.
Some options, so.
Not direction, but you need a vote.
That will come to the mayor and the board of trustees. If there is something else you feel would be a viable opportunity to address the public concerns that you need to have, you can put that in there. We're at your disposal as far as where you want us to go with this. If we need administrative or kind of look at assessing the fines, notify the public that this is important to proceed with water wise. Have a marching order to get the word out.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to rescind the notification to the public on severe water drought, and to direct town manager and staff to put out communications regarding drought and what they can do in drought situations.
And maintain
And maintain.
even odd.
And maintain the current even odd.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Any public comment?
Public's leaving.
Sorry, Derek. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro? Trustee Harts?
Yes.
Trustee Katsas?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Sorry, it is
Yes.
the other person.
Jeremy, do you remember the gentleman's name that was at the planning commission last week? That, on Tuesday? No, neither do I.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to say it wrong.
So the planning commission had a meeting last week and about a guy who's, I think it was up on Juniper. And
He's in Juniper cul-de-sac. I don't remember the exact address.
Dombrowski?
Yeah.
Dombrowski.
I wanted to say Dumbledore,
Yeah.
but that's from.
so he came in last week and he wanted to get basically a variance to go ahead and continue on with his business of reloading ammunition and he was granted that by the planning commission. Even though the fire chief was kind of against it, although he didn't make any really good argument. That's about all I have. I've been out of town a lot. Trustee Harts?
No updates.
Trustee Katzos?
We had talked about, during the year, updating the town's stormwater requirements to, I think, bolster them a little bit more, and they're pretty lenient right now. So I'd like to do that, schedule a workshop to talk about how we can update our stormwater requirements. And stormwater is a top priority. Also, I'd like to revisit the dark skies. Durango and La Plata County both have dark sky requirements. Our last community development director did a ton of research, put together quite a nice package about the dark skies, and I'd like to revisit that.
That was supposed to come back up before the planning commission.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Do you know why it was denied before?
The planning commission denied it. I don't know why.
Because we're pretty much meeting, we're meeting or exceeding the dark skies limitations as it is now. And they didn't feel as though we needed to add more restrictions on the people when we were already there.
How is that quantified? That we're meeting the dark sky requirements now without it?
By the measurements that were taken and we were presented at the planning commission.
I haven't seen those measurements. I'd like to see those.
Oh, you could probably find it in the old minutes.
I will. Yeah, I'll look for it.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Trustee McLaurin?
No, not too much. I know they're having a big meeting with the Good Food Collective coming up on the 12th, Friday, so I should know some more after that about what they're up to. And the farm is still going great steam ahead there in Gem Village, so.
Great. Trustee Moreland?
Yeah, so the La Plata Economic Alliance Board got together and did their retreat this last week. We spent half of a day trying to solve all the world problems when it comes to business in this area. But we actually came up with some great ideas, and I was able to advocate a little bit of being more inclusive to thinking about what the town of Bayfield as well as the town of Ignacio needs, because I feel like it's concentrated more on Durango and what Durango's needs are when it comes to business development and economics and whatnot. Now, they have made some inroads this last year as far as like the child care and the affordable housing in our area, but when it comes to much else, we kind of get left on the wayside. So it was kind of great to be able to be there and advocate for our town. Once they have put together their whole list, I'll share it with you guys. The RHA, oh, well, let me finish with that one too. They are not having a meeting this month, so normally we would have a meeting next month, or next week, or this week. It would have been this week, tomorrow. But because of the economic summit, they are not having their normal meeting with the board, and hopefully you guys will all go to the economic summit. I think you have until Friday to get your tickets. And then the Regional Housing Alliance, we are set to have our retreat on Monday. They're actually looking at how they want to structure, since we lost the executive director for the Regional Housing Alliance, and there is a close relationship between the La Plata Economic Development Alliance and the Regional Housing Alliance, where the oversight has been done with the alliance, And so they're trying to decide, you know, does the RHA separate themselves entirely from the Economic Development Alliance? Or do they go more underneath the umbrella? The way they had it before, I think the executive director for the Alliance and the RHA kind of bumped heads because you had two people in charge of one set of staff. And so now they're trying to figure out which direction they want to go. But we won't know that until Monday. Be interesting.
Yeah.
Trustee Nyberg?
Next TPR meeting is in October, and then planning commission is next Tuesday.
And Trustee Cesaro?
One cool thing I'd like to mention, it relates to Chamber of Commerce, is, so all of you have probably heard of Durango Rocks. Well, this coming year, they're changing it to Southwest Colorado Rocks, and they're extending their recognition across all of La Plata County to include Bayfield and Ignacio leaders and businesses. So I'm really excited to see that they're extending that to not just Durango and including everyone else in the county. So kudos to their new director for coming to that conclusion, Jeff DuPont. So happy to see that Bayfield can be included more in that recognition that they do of all the businesses. So that's all I got.
So nominate your people. If you have a good business you like, go nominate them. Workers and entrepreneurs.
So upcoming dates of interest is La Plata Economic Development Alliance Summit is on 9/11 at the casino. Board of Trustee meetings in 2 weeks on September 16th, and the Planning Commission, as Mr. Nyberg has stated, is September 9th. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 7:45.
Can we go back to the old email, please?